Ooh, that looks tasty.
Theories of a multiverse, found in comic books, found in cinema, found in literature, and now found in Stonemaier games.
Welcome, folks. The Hungry Gamer is back with another game review, and today we are talking about Rolling Realms, designed by Jamie Stegmaier with art by Miles Binsky and Marius Petrescu, and published by Stonemaier Games. And I do apologize if I mispronounced any of those names. Now, what Rolling Realms is a roll and write game in which you are rolling dice and then messing about in the different realms from Stonemaier Games. Each realm is a representation of one of their various titles in their game catalog. And you'll be playing over the course of 3 different rounds with 9 turns in each round, and whoever has the most points at the end of the game will be the winner, and it plays in about 30 minutes or so. Now, before I jump in any further, please make sure you turn on your Klingon subtitles, because if I make any mistakes in the rules overview, that's where you'll find the corrections. And if you are not interested in how this game is played and just want to jump into my final thoughts, then you will go to the timestamp on the screen right now. For those of us still here, let's go through with what we have here. What I have is 4 different decks here, and each player is going to be using a single deck. So let me just pull those out of the way. And you have your 2 dice that'll be rolled every round, a lovely dry erase marker, and then your personal roll tracker and your resource manager. Now what's going to happen is each round you will randomly draw 3 of the different realm cards, and then every single player will wind up using the exact same 3 for that round, and each different round you will wind up drawing 3 different realm cards that you'll be using for the round. And the game is very, very simple. What's going to happen is you're going to roll the dice, as we see there, and then each player will mark it on their sheet like that. I have a 5 and a 4 that I'm able to use. Then I'm going to use one number on 2 different realms. There are ways using your resources to wind up putting both dice on a single realm, but for the most part, you're going to put one number on each realm. So if we look here at the Euphoria, I could simply mark out the 4 like that, and that would give me, because I have between a 4 and a 10 on that, 1 star. If then I were to later come and say put a 6 on there, I would still have 4 plus 6, that's 10. I would then get another star. And then if I later came and put a 1 there, I would now have 11, which would give me 1 pumpkin and 1 heart. Like so. And then as you can see, there's 2 different things there. Or I could come over here and say put a number on this. And the rules for this one are, you can never have the same number adjacent to it, and you're going to wind up scoring points based off the 2 cards on either side. Or perhaps I would use the tapestry one, and I would be taking that number, so taking that 5 there, and I would be filling in the shape of whatever it is that I just used. So if I use the 5, I could go 1, 2, and then over 2. And then every time I fully fill in a box, like that there, I would get that resource. Every time you fully fill in a column, you would wind up getting a star. And as you can imagine, there is some mitigation that you'll be using as you collect these various coins and hearts and pumpkins. And as you use them, for example, I can spend 2 pumpkins to change my die roll up or down by 1. So in that 5, I could use 2 of these and say it's a 6. And you can kind of see as you look down here what the different things are. Of particular note, the coins are going to allow you to actually get more dice that you're able to use. Now you're going to roll another die, but if let's say I had this here, I could spend 1, 2, 3. And then as you see down here, I can then pretend that I also had a die roll of a 3. And then what's going to simply happen is you're going to go through the entire round, and then once you have done all the different rolls, then you'll wind up totaling up the number of stars you've gotten for the first round. Sure, we'll say I did really well, got 18. Then you'll go through and you'll wipe away any of the resources that you happen to have left over, and then draw 3 new cards, wipe away the dice rolls, and then you'll start again. You'll do that 3 times, and whoever has the most total stars at the end of the game will be the winner. So what do I like about this game? The first thing is, as you can probably predict that I'm going to say, is it's quick and it's easy to play. It's not hard to learn. And in fact, there's only just a few rules you actually have to know before you can actually just kind of jump in. And that's because, for the most part, the instructions written directly on the cards is very clear. For the most part, there's a couple of them, and I'll talk about this later on, perhaps, that are a little bit confusing the way they're worded, but overall, it's right there. and you have your cheat sheet right there on the card, especially once you know what's going on. You just look at it, refresh yourself, and move right on. And I really do like that a lot. I also appreciate how with the 12 different cards, you have a different experience each game. And what it does is it takes the kind of rinse and repeat feel of many roll and write games and it mixes it up because you're doing a different combination every single time that you play. And I think that's probably the cleverest thing about this particular game. And then speaking of the game itself, the mechanics are very simple. You're just rolling 2 dice and you're placing the dice places, and you have a little bit of mitigation for bad luck dice rolling here and there. And I think all of that works very well. I like the gathering of the 3 different resources. I like the things that 3 different resources can do, though I would say probably the coins feel like they're the most powerful to me. Maybe I'm wrong, but that's how it feels to me right now. And like any roll and write game, it fits right into that fun, that enjoyment of taking the numbers you've rolled and kind of writing them somewhere and making things happen, maybe making different combos and feeling very clever every now and then. I think this game does capture that same vibe that you get with any roll and write game. The last thing that I particularly appreciate is the most of the production. I'll talk a little bit about production in a minute, but most of the production value in that I really like that you can write right on the cards. I know that that's not a new thing, but you still don't see it that much. Some of the other blank and write games that I have, like Hadrian's Wall, I went and I laminated some sheets. So when I do finally run out a huge stack of papers, I'll actually have something there I can keep playing without having to print ones out that won't be as good quality or whatever. And so I really like when you can write right on the card and it wipes off easily. That's just fantastic. And then, of course, it's also a pretty small box. Actually, the box is a little bit bigger than it needs to be. And speaking of bigger than it needs to be, let's talk about those dice. Those things are freaking huge, and those are either great or just ridiculous, but I certainly do appreciate it. You can certainly see it from any part of the table you happen to be on. So what are my quibbles with the game? The first one is, it's a bit of an advertisement for Stonemaier games, which is fine. Everything is based around their different titles, and the titles of theirs that I have played and I know, their realms, their cards certainly do make sense within what that game does and how the dice are being manipulated and used in this game. However, if this is your first Stonemaier game, then all this stuff just, it doesn't mean anything. It's just a bunch of gobbledygook that's out there, and it just kind of looks like a bunch of advertisements for their games. And like I said, maybe that is a little bit what this is, but that might not be your cup of tea, and it might kind of rub you the wrong way. For me, it's just kind of inoffensive to me. It's just kind of there. But what it doesn't do, and why I bring it up, is it doesn't grab any of the opportunity that was there to kind of create something new, something interesting. It makes me want to look at these cards and pay attention to these cards. And speaking of the cards, I said mostly I like the production. Some of the font on the cards with the kind of light gray, it can be very hard to see. When I introduced this game to my wife, she had a very hard time reading that particular font, and she has very good eyes as opposed to my horrible eyes. So just something to keep in mind. And then the last thing I'll say is Rolling Realm is not doing anything particularly new. Now that's not a bad thing, but just something to think about. Yes, you are getting a distinctly different combination of cards every single round, every single game. And I'm not a math person, so I don't know how many different combinations there are, but there's certainly a ton of different combinations. But other than that, it's just simply rolling the dice and putting them into place. And it's not doing it in a way that is particularly exciting. Yes, there are brief, small moments where you feel like, oh, you did something really clever. But it's just similar to what you get in a lot of roll and write games. Now, that sounds like I'm slamming it. I'm not. I actually had quite a bit of fun playing this, and something I will hold on to at least for a while. But it's just taking the roll and write formula and it is mixing it up a little bit. And with the production, the ease, and the speed of it, it's just a fun little game. But you might be looking for more than that out of a roll and write game at this point. And then the last thing that I'll say is, this is a game that is got a lot of math to it. I mean, it's just adding, subtracting, and things like that. But some people really don't like that. They really don't like that they have to add this, and then and that might not be for you. This is a roll and write game where you are adding numbers, and I don't think you ever subtract numbers, but you get the idea. Just basic little arithmetic, and maybe that is not fun for you. Maybe that's not interesting for you. But really, that's it, folks. Overall, I enjoy Rolling Realms. Roll and write is not my cup of tea normally, but I enjoyed this one. This is, like I said, one that I'm going to hold on to for at least a while. I'm going to introduce it maybe to some of my students and see what they think about it, because it does a lot of things that are key to the fun of roll and write games, and it's right there. It's not trying to be cutesy. well, maybe it's trying to be cutesy with the different realms, being kind of an advert for all Stonemaier games, but hopefully you understand what I'm saying. So there you have it, folks. That is Rolling Realms. As always, if I made any mistakes in the rules overview, please let me know in the comments with the timestamp so I can get that into the Klingon subtitles. As always, if you found this video useful, please like, subscribe, and share. Thank you so much for watching. Have a wonderful, wonderful day.